There are days you can look back on and pinpoint the exact moment the ground beneath your life started to shift. For me, it was a Tuesday afternoon. Not a stormy night. Not some cinematic betrayal under dramatic lighting. Just an ordinary, painfully bright Tuesday. Lena had started going to the gym again. Not that she'd ever really stopped, but this was different. It wasn't just her morning yoga or evening spin class. It was commitment with a capital C, meal prep, supplements, early wake-ups, and late-night stretches. The whole house smelled like protein powder and eucalyptus oil. She talked about her fitness coach, her macros, her new GLIP program. She smiled more, too. But not at me. At first, I was proud. I thought, look at her go. After our daughter turned 4, Lena had fallen into a kind of fog. Not depression, exactly, but a muted version of herself. I assumed this was her shaking it off, getting her shine back. She had always been beautiful, but now she glowed in a way I hadn't seen since our honeymoon. Her skin had that post-sweat flush, and she moved like someone who knew people were watching. The gym administrator's name was Eric. At least that's what she called him. Just Eric. No last name, no title. Just Eric, like a mononym was somehow cool now. He ran the day-to-day at the gym, organized classes, checked people in, managed memberships. I remember her telling me about him in passing, weeks before I'd realized he had taken up permanent residence in the silent corners of my marriage. He's got this crazy strict meal plan, she said one night, spooning mashed avocado onto rice cakes. No sugar, no gluten, no dairy. Like zero. I made a joke, something about how he probably cried himself to sleep chewing kale, and she laughed, but it didn't touch her eyes. It didn't linger the way it used to. She was distracted, preoccupied, looking through me instead of at me. I tried to believe it was nothing. A silly crush. A phase. Women can have gym crushes, right? Just eye candy to keep them motivated. But when I started to find excuses not to work late, just so I could be home when she got back from her sessions, that's when the unease began to bloom. There was this one evening. She walked in after her usual 90-minute grind, ponytail messy, tank top clinging to her skin, and I watched her from the kitchen. She caught me staring and gave me this half smile. Not sheepish, not surprised. It was cold, like I had no right to look at her that way. Everything okay? I asked, pretending to rinse a cup I didn't need to. Yeah, she replied, pulling her sports bra strap back onto her shoulder. Just tired. She didn't kiss me, just walked past me, her scent, citrus and sweat, trailing behind. That night, I woke up alone in bed. She'd fallen asleep on the couch, she said. Too tired to climb the stairs. She used to say she couldn't sleep without me. Now she couldn't be bothered. The first time I let myself snoop, I told myself it was just a curiosity. I opened her gym bag when she left it in the car. Inside were the usual suspects: towel, resistance bands, shaker bottle, and a second phone. Just sitting there, unbothered, as if daring me to ask about it. I didn't confront her. I didn't touch it. But from that moment on, I couldn't unsee the signs. The subtle shift in how she carried herself. The way she started dressing for the gym like she was going clubbing. The surge of notifications she never quite let me glimpse. Her phone, once casually tossed on the table, now never left her hand. I spent nights watching old videos of us, trying to understand where I had failed. Our wedding, her eyes locked on mine as we danced. Her voice, tipsy and full of love, on our daughter's first birthday video. It felt like archaeology, digging up bones of something that had once been alive. Then came the text. I had picked up her phone by mistake, identical cases. Mine buzzed. Hers didn't. On her lock screen. Let me know when he's asleep. I'll swing by. No name. Just the message. My stomach flipped. My hands went cold. I didn't confront her then either. Instead, I waited. I watched. I became the ghost in my own home, slipping between moments, collecting data. I wasn't proud of it, but pride had long since left the room. One night, after she claimed she was too sore to do anything but stretch, I followed her. I told her I needed to grab something from the store. She kissed my cheek, too quickly, and said, "Don't be long." She drove 3 blocks past the gym, to an apartment complex I didn't recognize. She parked in the back lot. She didn't bring her gym bag. I waited 10 minutes, maybe 15. Then I got out of my car and walked. I didn't want to see. I didn't want to confirm what I already knew. But some part of me needed to witness it, to stop pretending this was all in my head. Through the half-open blinds of apartment 206, I saw her silhouette. His too. Shirtless. Her hands were on his face. His were on her hips. Her head tilted back in laughter. A sound I hadn't heard in weeks. Maybe months. I left before they noticed me. Or maybe they did. Maybe they didn't care. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't even cry. There's a kind of grief that's too heavy for tears. It just sits there, pressing on your ribs like a loaded gun. The next morning, she made coffee like nothing had happened. "Did you get what you needed from the store?" she asked, stirring cream into her mug. I nodded. "Yeah, everything." The lie tasted like ash in my mouth. I sat across from her at the kitchen island, watching her drink from a mug that said wife. Mom. Boss. I didn't say a word, but something in me had changed. I didn't confront her. Not right away. Confrontation suggests you still want something to work out, still think there's something to salvage. I wasn't there yet. I was somewhere between disbelief and paralysis, like standing in front of an avalanche you saw coming but chose to ignore. Days passed. Weeks, maybe. Time started moving differently. I wasn't counting weekends anymore, just measuring how long I could keep up the performance. The smiles at dinner. The "how was your workout?" questions. The soft kisses before bed. It all felt rehearsed, like I was in a play I hadn't auditioned for. And she was brilliant in her role. My wife, Lena. The woman who knew how to cry on cue, how to laugh at the right moment, how to make a lie sound like a lullaby. She cooked more often now. She touched my arm when she spoke. She even initiated sex once. Maybe guilt had bloomed into pity. Maybe she was trying to keep the lie alive just long enough to keep the illusion intact. But I couldn't unsee Eric's hands on her hips. I started going to the gym. Not the one across town where I usually lifted weights with co-workers after hours. Her gym. The one with the brushed concrete walls, the LED accent lights, and the wall of motivational quotes that sounded like threats if you read them in a certain tone. Discipline is stronger than desire. Sweat never lies. Be more. Eric was there, of course. Always. He wasn't hard to spot. Tan skin, tattoos creeping up his neck, and that smug confidence that clung to him like cologne. He walked like the gym belonged to him. Because it did. Every woman smiled when he passed. Every man nodded with that forced respect you give someone who could bench press your ego. He didn't recognize me. Not at first. Why would he? I was just another guy in a t-shirt, watching from the edges. I watched how he moved around her. Never touching, not when others were looking, but close enough that his presence felt territorial. I saw how her shoulders relaxed when he laughed, how her eyes lingered on him longer than necessary. I memorized every movement, every glance, every tell. She hadn't said his name in weeks. She used to mention him daily. His workouts, his advice, his weird smoothies. But now, radio silence. That, more than anything, told me she knew what she was doing. She wasn't just lost. She was hiding. I needed answers, but more than that, I needed to understand how we got here. We weren't always broken. There was a time Lena would call me just to hear my voice. She used to scribble little notes on the bathroom mirror in dry erase marker. Dumb jokes, hearts with our initials, countdowns to our anniversary. After our daughter was born, we took turns staying up for night feedings, and I remember watching her rock the baby in that sleepless haze, whispering lullabies under her breath. I was sure, then, that love like that could survive anything. But maybe it couldn't survive boredom, or routine, or the itch of lost youth, or a man like Eric. One night, while she was in the shower, I opened her laptop. It wasn't locked. She never expected me to look. There was a folder buried deep in her files, hidden behind generic names like receipts_2022 and photos_trip. Inside were videos, messages, recordings of gym sessions that were never posted to social media. One of them, shaky, intimate, started with her laughing breathlessly in what looked like Eric's office. She was in a sports bra. He was shirtless. She held the phone. I closed the laptop slowly, breathing through my nose. Not because I was angry. I wasn't angry anymore. Just hollow, like I had reached the bottom of something and kept digging anyway. That night, she wrapped herself around me in bed, resting her head on my chest like nothing had changed. I kept my arms still. She didn't notice. "You've been quiet lately," she whispered into the dark. "I've just been tired," I replied. She kissed my neck. "Try to sleep, baby." Sleep? I didn't sleep anymore. I just counted the seconds between betrayals. The next morning, I went to the gym again. But this time, I didn't stay in the shadows. I asked to speak with Eric. He met me in the back office, a cramped room that smelled like liniment and testosterone. He didn't recognize me at first. Maybe the sweat threw him off. Or maybe he never thought to imagine me as real. "You're Lena's husband," he said finally, leaning against the desk like a man with nothing to fear. I didn't reply. "She said you might show up eventually," he added, crossing his arms. "Look, I didn't plan for it to go like this. Things just happened." He spoke with the confidence of someone who'd already won. That was his mistake. "I don't want your explanation," I said, keeping my voice low. "I just wanted to see the man who thought he could build something on someone else's foundation." That rattled him. Not the words, but the calm. Predators don't expect quiet confrontation. They prepare for fury, not stillness. "She's not unhappy," he said. "With me, she's different. Lighter." Of course she was. Anyone can feel light when they leave their weight on someone else. "Enjoy it while it lasts," I told him. Because she's never been good at staying. I walked out before he could respond. That was important to me, leaving first. The next day, I told Lena I'd be taking our daughter to my sister's for the weekend. "Just us," I said. "She misses her cousins." Lena smiled and said she might use the time to deep clean the kitchen. Maybe catch up on laundry. We both lied like pros. I had already packed a second bag. By Sunday night, I was in a motel 5 exits away, sleeping under stiff sheets that smelled like bleach and cheap air freshener. I had no plan yet, just distance. I woke to find a message from her. "Hey, did you take the extra key? I can't find it. Let me know if you and Emma are coming back tonight." I made chili. Chili. As if that fixed anything. I ignored the text and stared at the motel ceiling, watching the fan turn slow circles like a carousel of regrets. The weight of it all finally hit me, crushing and suffocating. I loved her. That was the worst part. You can hate what someone has done and still ache for their touch. Still miss their voice when the world goes quiet. I didn't know what came next. I wasn't ready to file papers. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to. But I knew I couldn't go back yet. Because the next move, the one I'd make after this weekend, had to mean something. And it had to be final. The third night at the motel, I stopped waiting for clarity. It wasn't coming. Not in the neat, decisive package I'd hoped for. There was no cinematic moment of enlightenment, no bolt of righteous certainty. Just the slow, smothering realization that my life, my marriage, my family, had become a negotiation with silence. Emma had adapted to the change faster than I expected. She was young, resilient, untouched by the poison seeping between her parents. She liked staying at her cousin's place. They had a trampoline and a big yard. She laughed easily there. I didn't tell her we might not be going back. Lena texted me again the next morning. "Emma's dentist appointment is Wednesday. I'll move it if you're keeping her longer. Just let me know." Just logistics. No emotion. No, "I miss you." Or even "how are you?" Our love had been reduced to calendar entries and childcare handoffs. Still, I replied, "We'll be back Thursday." She didn't answer. That night, I went for a drive. I told myself it was just to clear my head, but the truth was more pathetic than that. I missed my house, my bed, my life. Even if I couldn't go inside, I wanted to see it. I parked across the street. The porch light was on, the curtains drawn. One of Emma's toys, a faded plush unicorn, lay on the front steps, half forgotten. The house looked like it always did. Still, familiar, deceitfully intact. Then the living room light switched off. A figure moved behind the curtains. I knew the silhouette. Eric. Even in shadow, his build was unmistakable, thick-necked and arrogant. He belonged to that room now, not just the gym. My gym. My home. I sat there a long time. Long enough to watch the lights shift from living room to hallway, then finally upstairs. Long enough to imagine what they were doing. I didn't cry, but something inside me cracked, like drywall under pressure. Invisible from the outside, but irreversible. Back at the motel, I couldn't sleep. My chest buzzed with something hot and unsettled. Rage, maybe, or shame. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the humiliation of being replaced in my own life. Eric wasn't better than me. He was just new. New was exciting. New didn't have to clean up vomit at 3 a.m. or work overtime to keep the lights on. I thought about confronting her. Again. But what was left to say? She'd already made her choice. Even if she hadn't said it out loud. Instead, I focused on the one thing that still felt within reach: control. The next day, I called a lawyer. The woman on the phone was calm, collected, like she'd heard 1,000 versions of my story. Infidelity is grounds for fault-based divorce, she said, typing in the background. Do you have any evidence? I paused. Yes. And I did. Videos. Messages. The hotel logs the investigator had quietly gathered after I'd slipped into paranoia. Every detail of their affair, right down to the gym's closed-circuit footage my buddy at City Zoning had pulled for me. It was all there, packed into a folder I hadn't touched since I first collected it. I'll need all of that, she continued. Are you seeking full custody? I hadn't thought that far. No, I said. Shared. But I want the house. She can have everything else. There was a silence. Then a scribble. Understood. I'll prepare the petition. You can pick it up by Friday. And just like that, the machine began turning. When I returned to the house Thursday evening to drop Emma off, Lena answered the door in leggings and an oversized hoodie, the uniform of post-workout comfort. Her hair was still damp. The scent of eucalyptus hit me like a curse. Hey, she said casually, like I hadn't vanished for almost a week. Did she eat? Yeah, chicken tenders. She nodded. She missed her room. I didn't respond. Emma threw her arms around my waist. Bye, Daddy. I kissed her forehead. I'll see you Sunday. Lena stepped aside to let her run past. I stayed in the doorway. I'll be by tomorrow, I said. To pick up some things. A slight twitch in her brow. Okay. She didn't ask what things. She knew. The next day, I arrived at 11 a.m., alone. The house was quiet. Lena was in the kitchen, barefoot, pouring coffee. She was wearing my old t-shirt. You're early, she said. I said I'd come by this morning. Didn't realize it was so urgent. It is. She opened her mouth as if to speak, then closed it. The air between us felt thick with all the things neither of us wanted to say. I moved past her, up the stairs, straight to the bedroom. The bed was made. Our bed. I opened the closet and pulled out my suitcases. She followed me, arms crossed. Are you leaving for good? You already knew I was. No, I didn't. She looked smaller now. Not physically, but emotionally. Less untouchable. More human. It almost made me waver. Almost. She sat on the edge of the bed as I folded shirts. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Yes, you did, I said without looking up. Her voice cracked. I was lonely. So you found someone else. Don't justify it. You made your decision. I didn't sleep with him right away. It started with talking. Does that make it better? She stood up, moving toward me, desperate now. You were always working. You stopped seeing me. No, I said, sharper now. You stopped being seen. She flinched. I didn't want to hurt you. You wanted to feel alive again. I get it. But you didn't think I'd burn for it, did you? I still love you, she whispered. I stopped packing. No, Lena. You love the version of me who didn't see you cheat. You love the comfort I gave you. But you don't love me. Not as I am. Tears filled her eyes. I watched her blink them back. Part of me, the part that still remembered movie nights and baby names and vows made under spring skies, wanted to hold her. But the man she'd built a life with was no longer welcome in this house. As I zipped the suitcase shut, I slid an envelope onto the dresser. What's this? She asked, stepping toward it. Divorce petition. You'll be served officially next week. But I wanted you to see it from me. She opened it, skimmed the pages. Her fingers trembled. You're serious? I was never joking. I turned to leave, but stopped at the door. One more thing, I said. She looked up, still clutching the papers. Don't ever let him near Emma. Her eyes widened. He wouldn't. He's not family. He's not her stepdad. He's just the man who helped dismantle her home. Keep him away from her, Lena. I won't ask twice. She nodded slowly, as if finally understanding the gravity of what she'd destroyed. I left without another word. That night, I didn't return to the motel. I stayed with my brother. Slept on the couch. Didn't dream. The silence was different now. Not heavy, not loud. Just clean. Like a room freshly aired out after years of being closed. It wasn't peace. But it was a start. 3 months. That's how long it took for the dust to settle. 3 months since I handed her the petition, since I packed my life into 2 suitcases and left behind the home we built. I moved into a modest apartment across town, a 2-bedroom with thin walls and a view of the parking lot, but it was mine. The silence here was different from the motel's sterile quiet. It had texture now, familiarity. Some nights, I even welcomed it. The divorce went through faster than I expected. Lena didn't contest. Whether it was guilt or fatigue, I'll never know. We split custody of Emma, though Lena never challenged my request for primary residence. I think part of her knew it was best for Emma to have consistency, or maybe she couldn't bear the day-to-day reminders of what she'd unraveled. Emma adjusted quickly. Kids do. She missed the old house at first, but children live in the moment. She decorated her new room with glow-in-the-dark stars and taped her drawings to the walls with painter's tape. She never asked why her mom didn't live with us anymore. She just accepted the new routine, Wednesdays with Lena, every other weekend too. I never told Emma the full story. I probably never will. She'll piece together what she needs to when she's older. All she needs to know now is that she is loved, fiercely, by both of us, even if we don't share the same walls anymore. As for Lena, I saw her often in passing, always cordial. Polite texts, brief exchanges. She stopped wearing her rings. I'd long since removed mine. She looked thinner. Not sickly, just smaller, like the scaffolding that held her together had crumbled, and she was still rebuilding. I didn't ask if she was still seeing Eric. It wasn't my concern anymore. But I found out anyway. One Friday, Emma came home with a story about a man who came with her mom to pick her up from ballet. He had tattoos like a pirate, she said, laughing, and a truck with no roof. I knew who it was before she finished. My first instinct was anger, the sharp flash of betrayal reignited. But I bit it back. She was free now. She could date whoever she wanted. Even the man she once invited into our life like a fox into a henhouse. I wouldn't waste my breath. Instead, I bought myself a punching bag and hung it in the corner of the spare room. It helped. A few weeks later, I bumped into Eric. It was at the gym. Not Lena's gym. I'd never go back there, but a smaller one closer to my apartment. He must have transferred or picked up extra shifts. He saw me before I saw him. I was wiping sweat from my neck when he approached, towel draped around his shoulder like a sash of conquest. Hey, he said, nodding. Didn't expect to see you here. I said nothing. He fidgeted. Look, I know we're not going to be friends, but I didn't mean for everything to go down the way it did. You keep using that phrase, I replied, like you tripped and fell into someone else's wife. He flushed, but didn't argue. She said things were bad between you two. They were. Doesn't mean you weren't the final crack in the foundation. I guess I just thought. You didn't think. I cut him off. You saw an opening, and you took it. That's who you are. Don't pretend it was noble. He shifted his weight, discomfort settling into his stance. She's not happy, if that means anything. Not really. I raised an eyebrow. You thought she would be? He didn't answer. Let me guess, I said. She changed after the chase ended. Stopped laughing the way she used to. Got quieter. Less bright. Like something in her faded? He nodded slowly. That's not on her. I continued. That's on you. Because what you wanted wasn't love. It was victory. He opened his mouth, closed it again. I grabbed my water bottle and turned to leave. One more thing, I said over my shoulder. You see Emma again without clearing it with me. I'll make sure you're not welcome in this state anymore. The threat wasn't loud, but it landed. He didn't follow me. That night, I slept better than I had in months. A year later, I was standing in a park, watching Emma swing like gravity didn't exist. She was 8 now, all limbs and laughter. Her hair was tied in a messy ponytail, her sneakers scuffed from playground battles. I sat on a bench with a coffee, breathing in the early spring air. That's when I saw her. Lena. She stood by the sandbox, arms crossed, watching Emma with a soft smile. She hadn't seen me yet. Her hair was longer now. She wore flats and no makeup. She looked real. Eventually, she turned. Our eyes met. She walked over, hands in her coat pockets. Hey, she said. Hey. She's getting big. She won't stop growing. I asked. Lena chuckled, just once. Then silence. She sat beside me. Not close. Not distant. Just there. How are you, she asked. Better. You? She hesitated. Getting there. I nodded. The air between us wasn't tense. Just settled. Like a wound that stopped bleeding, even if the scar would never fade. She looked down. I've been thinking about everything. About you. About us. I didn't respond. I was wrong, she said softly. Not just for what I did, but for how I treated what we had. I thought I needed something more exciting. But I didn't realize what I had was rare. I looked out at Emma, swinging higher now, her shrieks of joy piercing the quiet. You know what I miss most? Lena continued. I waited. The way you looked at me when I didn't know you were looking. It made me feel seen. Really seen. I didn't speak. I didn't know her anything. But I didn't walk away either. I know I can't fix it, she said, voice trembling. I'm not asking to. I just wanted you to know. I remember. I regret. And I'm sorry. It landed. Gently. Like snow. Thank you, I said. She wiped her cheek. I'll let you have the rest of the afternoon. She stood, turned, and began to walk. Lena. She stopped. I hope you find whatever it is you're still looking for. She nodded. I hope you already have. She walked away. I didn't remarry. Not yet. But I did meet someone eventually. Someone kind, patient, who asked about my day and actually listened to the answer. We started slow. Emma liked her. That mattered most. Sometimes, I still think about those final months with Lena. About how something beautiful can rot from the inside out, while still looking perfect on the surface. I don't hate her anymore. I don't miss her either. She was a chapter. A lesson. A scar I earned. The gym administrator? He moved away 6 months after our encounter. Word was he got fired. Something about inappropriate behavior. I didn't ask for details. Sometimes, people write their own endings. Me? I found peace. Not the loud, triumphant kind. Just the quiet kind you earn through fire. The kind that doesn't need to be seen. Only lived.